Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how I make a couple of different styles of fabric flowers. I'm using net and tulle, but you can use any fabric to make the same style of flowers. I start by cutting an assortment of different size circles. They don't have to be precise. I just cut them by hand. I fold my fabric in half and cut what looks like a rugged circle, and I try to adapt my sizes or adjust my sizes so that they're not all the same sizes, and I cut about maybe 4 or 5 layers of receding size circles for each flower. Once I've got my circles cut, I scrunch them all up into a tiny ball, giving them lots of creases. Now this depends on the type of fabric you're using, how effective this is, but the idea is to put creases in it so that it gives it some added dimension when you actually assemble the flower. I assemble my layers of flowers, and then I use my tool that I use to make holes with into my what used to be a stubby holder, make a hole and push one of these gold rimmed diamante brads through it. You can use glue on your flowers if you wish. I don't usually, because I don't mind if they move around a little bit, but if you want them to stay exactly where you put them, well then you'd probably use a piece of glue as well. So once I've got my brad in there, I give it a bit more of a scrunch, and that is basically the flower finished. Very simple, very easy way to make a lovely embellishment. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this white net. It's a nice soft white net that's got some little white dots on it, and so once again I'm going to cut some circles, then I'm going to scrunch those circles up, poke a hole through the middle and fasten them all in place with a brad. These flowers are so quick and easy to make. I went ahead and made another one using this net that is quite a bit stiffer. It doesn't feel as soft, but it does. I like the look of it, so I thought I'd give it a go and make a flower out of this. I did exactly the same process to make the flower. I still scrunched it up and everything like that, but it doesn't really hold much of a scrunch. Same thing with the brad. So here I have 4 flowers that I've made. This black fabric is a really soft netting, and I have lit a tea candle and I'm just singeing the edges of the circles, and it gives them a bit of added texture, so it gives them like a little ridge around the edge. You have to be very careful when you're doing this, because you only want to run it along the edge of the flame. You have to be very careful. You can easily burn your fingers, and definitely not something that you should let the kids do. And then once that's finished, I did exactly the same thing. I layered the petals on top of each other, or the layers on top of each other, and then secured them in place with a brad. I'm going to make a different style of flower now. I've used my Spellbinder's circle die to die cut some of the net, and I'm going to use a needle and thread to run a running stitch around the outside edge of the circle that I've cut. I'm trying to stay as close as I can to the circle without going off of the edge. I stitch around the whole outside. You could do this on your machine if you wanted to, but it's just as quick to do it by hand because the circles aren't very big. When you're making these flowers, you need to have the circle twice the diameter of the flower size that you want. So If you want a 2-inch flower, you need a 4-inch circle. These are called, I've heard them called puff flowers, and I've heard them called yo-yo flowers. I don't know what their proper name is, but I think they're quite cute. So once you've done your stitch all around the edge, you pull it and gather your cotton up so that it pulls into a little very tight circle, and you've got like a little bag, yeah, I suppose. And once you've sorted that out, so made it nice and round, you then take your needle and stitch back through the double layer a couple of times to hold that closed. So I go down and back about 2 or 3 times, and then I do a couple of little stitches on the back to hold it in place. So once the flower has taken shape, I can either put a brad through it the same way that we put a brad through the others, or we can use our hot glue gun to attach a gem to the front. So just to show you again, I have already stitched around this one. Now I'm pulling it up, and you have to pull it up so that it is very tight in the middle. So you're looking for no gap at all in the middle. Depending on the thickness of your fabric, you might have to do it, ease it in bit by bit. So there's what we're looking for, just a little puff ball really that's been flattened out, and then stitch through it a couple of times to fasten it in place so that it won't come undone. You know, the cotton that you've used to stitch your edging can loosen and you would lose your flower shape, so you just have to finish it off with a couple of stitches. So here are a few that I've made. I'm going to now use my hot glue gun to attach those gems to the middle of the flower. So I'm not going to use a brad this time, just some hot glue. So there we have it. In a very short space of time, I have 11 flowers that I could use on my cards or my scrapbooking projects. The beauty of this, of course, is that you can make them in colours that suit your project, and they are so quick and easy, anybody can do it. I hope you've enjoyed watching my video today, and if you have, please subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you during my next video. Thank you for being here.